Welcome to the Dynasty Effect, where the legacy of the Clash of Dynasties docuseries doesn't end, but continues.
So let's get into it.
We dive deeper into the ripple effect this rivalry created across the wrestling world, from youth clubs to high school, NCAA powerhouses, the Olympics, professional wrestling, and beyond.
Is a great story.
We talk to coaches, athletes, and legends whose paths were shaped by these two dynasties.
It's a who's who. It's a list of NCAA champions, champion MMA fighters, coaches, decorated individuals, champions in life. I mean, it's all across the board.
And through candid conversations and the behind-the-scenes stories, we examine how they continue to influence the sport today.
This is a podcast that puts it all together, you know?
This is the Dynasty Effect.
Welcome to the Dynasty Effect. I am host and producer, director of Clash of Dynasties, Ben Hada. And with me is my co-host, Aaron Waters from Pennsylvania, CEO of OEM Interactive, and producer and investor on our films. And joining me is Frank Favaro. How are you, sir?
Doing great. How you doing?
Great. Frank is president of Serve Centric and Walsh Jesuit wrestler and cast member from Clash of Dynasties. How are you fellas doing?
Fantastic.
Great day, man. Excited.
Yeah. We've got a great guest this week. And, he, I think, fits right into our realm of the Dynasty Effect. We're all about dynasties. So this guy's one of the best. He's also from Ohio. He's a hometown Buckeye boy through and through. But like our series, I think he's also echoed throughout the rest of the country. We're talking about one of Ohio's greatest wrestlers, Logan Stieber. What do you guys think of when you hear the name Logan Stieber?
Beast. One of the greats, the GOATs. I mean, there's not much else, more to say. I mean, look, he's done it all. I mean, he's the who's who. He is on the list of everything. Check the box. He's been there, done that. One of the greatest of all time. I mean, super pumped to have him on.
What's he, one of four-time NCAA champions?
Yeah. Well, I don't know the stat is more people have landed on the moon than have won four-time NCAA championships, but he is four-time everything, right? He's four-time state champ, four-time NCAA champ, four-time Big Ten champ. I think he was a four-time junior national champ. He's a world champ, Pan Am champ. He was in the Hall of Fame with my dad, class of 2024. So, you know what? Let's stop talking about him. Let's just bring him on.
Logan Stieber.
Logan Stieber from Monroeville, Ohio.
Four-time state champion.
Four-time Big Ten champion.
The Mount Rushmore of NCAA wrestling. A four-time champion.
More people have walked on the moon that have won 4 national championships. 2016 world champion.
And college coaches.
Logan only had 1 loss in high school, and that was to David Taylor. You have instant credibility when you've accomplished what he's accomplished.
Everybody, welcome Logan Stieber. How are you, sir?
What's up, guys? How are you?
Good. Great to have you on, man. So obviously you're joining us from the inside of the wrestling room, or where is that right now?
Yep. I'm in the Jennings Center right now, in one of our conference rooms, actually in the Teague room right now. So just nice little spot. We can chat about wrestling.
Nice. So thanks for joining us. We're stoked you could have us. I think we always try to figure out how people have ties to the Dynasty and our series, and I think you fit right in. You created your own Dynasty at Monroeville. You were a 4-time state champ. You were also trained at Burnett Trained Wrestling with my dad. Talk about that. Talk about, what it was like going through high school. I know you mentioned in a few other podcasts too that, you were coached by your dad, but he wasn't necessarily a wrestler. So how did your, path start in Ohio?
Yeah, no, this is good. So I'll just kind of start from the beginning. I started wrestling probably 5 years old, and just in my youth program at Monroeville for a year or two, I wrestled at a local tournament. And funny enough, I guess I don't remember. The situation was I had a cradle, but the other kid had a cradle. A pin was called. I thought I won. I didn't. I cried afterwards. Classic. But the kid that I wrestled, his name is Tony Jameson, which Ohio wrestling fans will know, 4-time high school state champion. And they were in Norwalk, next door to Monroeville, and they were like, "Hey, we go to this club. It was a good match between you and my son. Like, you should check it out." And that ended up being, Coach Ron Burnett's club. The All-American Burnett trained wrestling. So we did that for a few years in the kind of the youth club. And while that was happening, my dad, so we started getting pretty tough, and we had we started to obviously create relationships with other club members and some local guys. And my dad started running these kind of private small workouts, small groups workouts once or twice a week. And that was branded as the Ohio Dogs. And that was, I wish it would have been tough to do in 2025, but it would have been cool to see the videos, because there were some wards, and these were in garages. I mean, it started off in our garage. And this is probably I don't know, you could fit probably four cars in the garage. But there's like lawnmowers, there's, equipment in there. We had these torpedo space heaters. And it was just, probably terrible for our health, but great for our wrestling. And we had people from Michigan, we had people from Pennsylvania come, we had Toledo, Cleveland, all over the state come and train with us for 2 hours, once or twice a week. And they were just crazy practices. And like I said, my dad didn't know much about wrestling, but he knew how to train us really hard. So he took the drills in the workouts that the Burnetts, showed, and we did at practice. And he just had us do, pretty much we would just do hard drilling and live for the whole 2 hours, sometimes groups of 3. And it was great for us. It was a very, I don't know, I won't say violent, but it was very intense room. And it was awesome. So I was really lucky. So we had the crazy intensity, where we were right at the line. Obviously we've all seen when coaches, parents cross the line, but we were right at the line. And then we had the great skill, from Coach Ron Burnett and Eric Burnett, when I was young like that. So it was really, really great for us, and everyone in the group. And looking back, it's fun. In the time, it was probably not as fun, but it was always fun winning the tournaments. So, yeah. So then as we kind of grew, we moved on to Eric, Burnett, same idea. And then actually they moved closer. So it wasn't LaGrange for a while, Ohio. They moved closer to Milan, which is about 10 minutes from my house, which was really nice for us, obviously. And it just continued. More and more kids would come. Eric is one of the, I said it when I was a high schooler, and I believe now one of the best coaches in the country. He helped me so much. And just, I wouldn't be where I am today without him. So it was really great. And then obviously we kept doing the workouts with my dad, probably up until high school, which was really great.
Logan, was there a time in your career, like in the early, career where, as you're going through this process, where you realized, I'm different than a lot of these other kids, where, you're going in, you're winning a lot of those tournaments. Was there kind of like that moment?
Yeah. So I for me, it's funny you asked that, because I asked my dad, maybe last Christmas or last one of the holidays last year or two, just like, I'm like me and my brother, like, were we good right away? And he was like, yeah. He's like, you guys were pretty good right away, like super aggressive, and obviously we were put in an incredible spot with Ron Burnett and the Burnett training. But he was like, yeah, you guys were good right away. But for me, I felt it. We went to it's in Geneva now. It was in Akron, like the U23s university tournament, and then there was a U17s, which was called like Fila Cadet at the time.
Yeah.
And that was in Chicago. And I went, and I got to wrestle some older guys that were good. So I would always double bracket as a kid, but it's not always like when I'm wrestling 9, 10, 11, 12, like these guys are good, but they are still like 11 years old, 12 years old. So you don't really know. But I was 14. I think it was like a 14 to 17-year-old division. And I won the weight class, and I beat some really tough kids that were a couple grades older than me that I knew just from the system that I never wrestled. And after that event, I was like, I felt like I was pretty good. I was like, I'm pretty good. And I won a lot. So I always thought that I was good. But after that event was the first time in my head where I was like, oh, I'm maybe a little bit better than I thought I was.
Yeah. And do you think that, your dad not knowing anything about wrestling, he was more of a football player, right? And he was teaching you guys, but you were supplementing with the Burnett's at this, camp and their training facility. But it's very much like what Bill Bassett's kind of doing. He wasn't a wrestler. He was a wrestler, but he was more of a football player. And he got back into it when his kids started wrestling. But he also, sent them to Young Guns camp, and got them going with that sort of reinforcement of real training. Talk about that. And, what does it take today if you don't have necessarily a huge wrestling program at your school, but you're still, top notch and want to, further your wrestling, skills?
Yeah, well, I'd say today it's a lot easier because of all the information that's out there. Obviously, there's a lot of very, very good coaches, but a lot of things are online now. So like I always say, like I'm very lucky, and I'll say until I die. For the Burnett's and Coach Ron, getting us going. Like I'm just forever lucky for that. And I think just the idea of finding a really good coach and believing in them is very, really important. And then if you do have, a smart family, smart parents that can train you and you're willing to be trained, then you have a recipe for success. Because it's tough. I mean, everyone in our group was willing to cry and work so hard that you were going to fall over every day. And that's hard to do. Even, my dad now, he would do some workouts for some kids, some, local practices every once in a while. And he's like, I don't know. He's like, not the same. He's not the same. And then he gets a group that's a bunch of animals. And he's like, he calls me. He's like, oh my gosh, it was so much fun. It's like you guys. And I'm like, yeah, it's fun to train, kids that are animals that want it. And honestly, that goes forever. Like it's the same thing in college. Like, believe it or not, there's kids that are just, they don't necessarily want it. Like they just think it's going to happen, and it's not as fun. And then then you have the animals and you're like, oh my gosh, like it's so much fun. Like wrestling is so much fun when, the athlete believes in you and you can train them really hard. So I think it's just really important to find a great coach, and then, the family being smart with the continued training, you can be really, really successful.
Logan, is that the one thing you guys look for is when you're recruiting, is like the kids who really want it more than anything else?
Yeah. I mean, that's a big thing we look for. And it's hard because, for the most part, when you ask a coach, hey, tell me about this kid, most of the time they say it's the best kid they've ever coached, and it's like, well, because obviously the kid's really good. And sometimes, you have blinders on like everybody does. So sometimes you miss some red flags that somebody else might miss. So it is hard sometimes to see, you have to ask around, you ask competitors, the competitor coach, and you watch how they compete, and you watch how they practice, and you watch how they, do with adversity. But yeah, I mean, you want the guys that aren't afraid of anything. They're not protecting any wins or losses, and they want to score a bunch of points. If you can find the guys like that, they'll have a lot of success. If you get people that are scared or that are, they're worried about their dad yelling at them, or they're worried about, if I lose this, then someone's going to say something about me. Like it's hard, and it's getting harder because of how social media is. But we want the guys that aren't scared. And if you try really, really hard and you're doing all the right things, and the guy beats you, then we go try to work on it and figure it out. But It's not a. We don't want guys worried about losing. We want guys that are training like animals and looking to score, 100 points. If you give up 10 points along the way, then you give up the points along the way. Like, it's all good.
Logan, I wanted to first talk about how we met originally. There was I was filming a pilot called High School Phenoms. Now that we're on sort of this high school phenom, discussion, and where we focused on two athletes across the country from each other that were doing different things. And we did a ballerina out in Los Angeles, and we found a wrestler. And I was tipped off to Logan in 2010 by Willie Knight. He was like, "Hey man, you got to check out this guy. He's a phenom. He's going for his 4th state title. And he's created a dynasty at Monroeville." Before we get into sort of a little video I dug up from that old pilot, talk to us about what it was like to create that dynasty at Monroeville. I mean, you guys weren't state champions before, and you guys weren't necessarily state champions after you guys left, were you?
Yeah, so correct. So ironically, the only time the high school had ever won a state championship in any sport was in basketball, and my dad was on the team in 1984. So it's just so funny. But no, we had no state champions. One of my buddies was been a couple times state placer a few years before me. But yeah, we didn't have really no wrestling like state champs, or we had a couple state placers, but not much. So my brother and I obviously went to Monroeville. Cam Tsari went to Monroeville. He went to Edison for a couple of years and came back. And then Chris Phillips, we're all in the same club. Chris Phillips was at the town next over, the town right next to us, and we're like, hey, like Monroeville was open enrollment. I'm like, hey, like we're all trained together. Like let's do it. So then he actually moved right next door to us, and we just, we had four stars, and then we had a bunch of other pretty tough guys. We had another two state place or two state qualifiers, and another guy placed on the year we won, took 7th. So it was fun. We had a great. I loved our coaching staff. They were awesome. They knew who we were, and they knew. I always say they did a good job of like keeping my dad away. Sometimes I would have like bad weight cuts, and I would just be like, I would be tired about this or that, or maybe I wrestled a match. I didn't wrestle that well against maybe somebody I should have killed. And I always joked, I'm like, you guys are doing a great job of like just keeping my dad at bay. And my dad really wasn't that crazy at that point in high school, but it was just funny because it was just nice to. They didn't try to overcoach us. It wasn't completely free reign. We could do whatever we want. It was a great happy medium. We were able to go to to Eric a couple of times a week if we needed to, and obviously on Sundays we trained, and then we all of us, we helped make everybody on our team a little bit better too. So we were super competitive in our conference, and that was a lot of fun. We had some really fun dual meets, and then obviously we took second as my junior year by 1 point, and then my senior year we won by like 40 points. So it was a lot of fun, yeah, I loved it. I mean, high school wrestling, you have a fun team, and it's pretty cool.
I'm going to show a little bit of that pilot and take a look at your years from 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Tonight on High School Phenoms.
3-time state champion from Monroeville, senior Logan Stieber.
Logan's the best wrestler in the country. If wrestling was that popular sport, Logan, he would be a #1 draft choice coming out of high school.
Steber takes a shot. Oh, Steber's going to get it.
Logan took to wrestling right from the start. The guy, when he's first seen him on a mag, goes, I can't ever imagine this kid losing.
When he started having success with wrestling at the high school level, there was probably a little bit of an aura around him, the fact that he was doing something that really hadn't been done here before.
The 2010 Ohio Wrestler of the Year goes to Logan Stieber.
I don't think he realizes how exceptional he is. He's just a normal, everyday kid.
In the state of Ohio, being a state champ is a huge deal. And Logan is going for his 4th this year. Logan, he's like a shark when it comes to wrestling. The shark doesn't care who's in the water if he's hungry.
Steber takes a shot. He's in deep. He's got it locked up to his feet.
Logan is a freak. He's 18, wrestling 35-year-olds and winning.
To be great, I think it takes lots of hard work, having great people helping you out, and doing what you do.
Bring back some memories of those years?
Yeah, that was awesome. It's funny to see my parents 15, 16 years ago, me with hair. Wow. Wild.
Yeah, with those years in time.
Where I was, and where we are now. But yeah.
And what do you think about the current state of the teenage phenom coming out with, I mean, you were right on that tip of social media, right? That was like 2010. So, you had Facebook, but you guys weren't using it like they were doing now. But now, the phenom is his own brand, right?
Yeah. Honestly, man, it's a crazy world. I'm really happy where I am now. Like if I was who I was now and had my life, like I would have a few more bucks, but man, it's a wild world, man. Like social media is tough. I just actually took Instagram and Twitter off my phone. I'm like, I'll look at it maybe once a day for 5 minutes to like catch up on stuff, but it's just a lot. It's just a lot of stuff. And man, it's easy to fall in love when you do well. And then when you do bad, you get everything, right? You get people telling you suck, and then people tell you the best ever. And it's like, it's wild. And I'm not the guy that ever wants to build my brand. I mean, I'm just not the self-promoting guy, at all. So I'm happy that I didn't have it. I think it's interesting. I think you can be smart with it and you can do it, and obviously winning is the best way to, kind of keep creating value for yourself. But there's lots of other ways as well now. So it's interesting. And with the NIL, it's crazy. So yeah, it's interesting for sure. I'm happy at the timeline for myself. Like I said, again, I would have made more money, but I don't know. If the only thing you want in life is money, then you're gonna have a hard life. So yeah, it's an interesting world though. It's an interesting world. I think you're gonna see higher successes and then harder falls, I think.
And that brings up a really good question or a point, Logan. How are you guys as coaches, leaders, mentors, father figures at Ohio State guiding these young athletes and young men through this because they're on it and they're creating their own content and they're trying to build their brands and all that. So how are you guys navigating that? How are you guiding them through this process?
Yeah, I mean, we just, we obviously we see it all so we can monitor it, and then we can we add in our little, our tips and advice, and if anyone we'd like for our guys to kind of stay in bounds, right? So we don't, if someone's going to say something that causes, maybe they say something that's get things going a little bit, hype it up, sweet. Do we want someone to talk a lot of smack about an opponent? Probably not. If something's a little fun and it kind of like gets things going, sure. But, we try to stay in bounds, right? And I think we can offer a lot of advice, and we can help them, and we tell them a lot, like, hey, listen, man, like there's a lot of people out there that are, I guess, for a lack of better words, just like losers that are trolls that want to just attack people. So like, one, don't fall in love with the likes, and two, like you're probably in between. You're not as good as what they're saying, and you're not as bad as what they're saying. So as long as you can keep that in mind and you're having fun in a good, respectful way and you're doing your thing, and it's all good. But it is harder though, because we have a great team and great culture, so we don't really have anybody that's outside the lines. I couldn't imagine being, a coach where people are tweeting crazy things, after losses or or say stuff about their coaches. Like I couldn't imagine that. So again, I think it speaks to our culture and our team leaders that they wouldn't allow that. Like we have some really great team leaders and captains, and like Jesse Mendez, Carson Hartrella, and Nick Feldman, who are all super successful. They have their own little brands, but they wouldn't let their teammates do something that would be out of bounds.
Logan, speaking of culture, you came to Ohio State and you really helped to redefine a culture, and you started that culture in motion. What do you think changed most? Was it your wrestling, or was it more of the coaching, the direction change? What changed there?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was definitely the coaching. I mean, so straight up, like I was a Buckeye my whole life. Like I was the easiest recruit Ohio State's ever gotten. 100%. I got committed when I was a sophomore. There was a new staff, but I would have went with the old staff. I mean, I loved Ohio State. It didn't really matter. I was excited about, that Coach Ryan talked a lot about a freestyle program, and Coach Roselli. And I knew I was big fans of Jay and Mike Basillo, and then like Lance Palmer and all these Ohio studs. So I was like, well, they're winning, I'll win. Like sounds like I don't like they're great coaches. I already have great coaches. Like I didn't need. Like, I just thought they were great coaches. I didn't know anything about them. I met them a couple of times, but I'm like, yeah, these guys are great coaches. And they were, Mikey and Jay, like they were great high school wrestlers. And now they're great college wrestlers. Like, sounds good. I'm in. So, when I committed there, there's this new staff, and we just got in second twice. I got in there. We didn't do that well my first year. And then we kind of just kept building. I think Coach Ryan and staff did a great job of recruiting, and sometimes you take some, you go try to get all the best guys, and not everyone works out, and you keep learning from that, and I think that's what they did. And obviously by the time that I was my junior year, we got 6, and then my senior year we won it. And my junior year we redshirted, a couple guys, my brother, a couple guys that kind of set it up for the future, or we would have done better, probably. So yeah, I mean, I think the staff did a great job with it. Obviously my wrestling helped, but I wasn't any sort of, I would say I wasn't like a great like team leader. I didn't really do anything wrong, but I wasn't very vocal or anything. I trained really hard, and if you followed me, then you would reap the benefits. But I probably could have pulled some more people along the way. I would say if I could go back and not change anything, but just kind of, I could have did a better job of that. But yeah, the staff did a great job of recruiting the right people and putting the right pieces in place.
You were on the same team with a St. Ed's and a Walsh guy, right? With Palmer and DeJulius.
Oh, yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. What did you notice the difference between a Walsh wrestler and a St. Ed's wrestler?
Well, I mean, those guys are both pretty tough. Colin had some back stuff, and so he couldn't kind of compete his full time here, but he's got a great club now. Really, really good club in Columbus. But Johnny, me and Johnny were teammates for a while, and Johnny's a funny guy, man. You probably know him, Ben, a little bit. He's a funny guy. I was talking to him the other day about some travel stuff. He's all over the world. But Johnny, Johnny, he had his awesome little dump, and he was really, really tough to wrestle in some areas. I mean, we wrestled at Ironman. You should watch that match. You can pull it up. It's fun. It's a great match. I was trying to break his arm. I was so pissed.
Yeah, Frank was is friends with Johnny and his dad, and
I was literally trying to break his arm because I couldn't turn him, and I was getting frustrated. He kept holding onto my arm, and he did the right thing. That's how he's supposed to wrestle me, because I have a lot of offense, and obviously like he wasn't gonna go takedown for takedown with me, so he did a fine job. I was just frustrated, and I was trying to literally break his arm, but his arm wouldn't break, unfortunately for me, which is so funny. We and Johnny talk about that match like once every couple of years. Just like I can't believe the ref let me like try to do that to his arm. But
those are the days. We'll have to find that match. We actually do have a match It was your only loss in high school that we'd like to take a look at. It might cause you a little pain, but not too many people can say their only loss in high school was to an Olympic champion. So you got something to be proud of. But let's it was at the Ironman, which is another byproduct of our series that Bill Barger helped create and is still running strong today, and one of the greatest tournaments around. So let's take a look at that match and tell us what you're thinking.
3 pounds, you're looking at the freshman Logan Stieber, the second seed from Monroeville, Ohio, 3-time junior high state champion, national cadet champion. He'll be going against the defending champ at this weight class, David Taylor, also the defending state champion and also the national champion, freestyle and Greco-Roman. A tremendously anticipated bout.
Biggest one of the night.
Very rarely do you see such a bout at 103 by a boy who's a sophomore and a boy who's a
He was a lot taller than you, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was tall and thin.
Studying different styles.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy watching this match. Nothing single leg. It's like we probably do the same moves that we did our whole lives. But like I remember running out the tunnel. And there was so many people there. And I remember some guy told me that he had money on me to win the match. It's funny the things you remember.
This is pre-gambling. I mean, it's legal probably now.
It's just like, it's so funny. This was that was a good skill.
Yeah.
Escape, takedown off that. Yeah, that was good. That was good skill.
So 3-2 right now in the first period, right there.
Yeah. Did a good job. Good job on top. And I think second or third period, I chose down, and I got turned. Bad decision by me. Should have just went back to my feet.
Yeah, he's a long one, so he's riding you pretty hard there.
Yeah.
All right, so now this is the second period.
This is nice. This is like fast-forwarded version. You don't get to see me get ridden out. It's nice. What's funny is so we actually wrestled. Oh, I got hit for locking hands, right?
You got hit for locking hands right there, so that was an extra point.
That's it. Why did I do that? So we actually wrestled at Tulsa Nationals when I was probably 9 years old, for true second. I lost in the finals to another future All-American, one of the Alton brothers that went to Penn State. And then we wrestled, and he kicked my butt in the true second match.
Look at this pull-up right here. This is something I had to keep in just because this is a tough position to be in, right? But watch this.
Oh, yeah. Nice. I guess. Yeah. That's my neck. Strong neck. And that might have been a legal scissor. Give the point back,
So it's 5-2.
5-2. See, I should have went to my feet here. Bad decision by me because he actually turns me. So we wrestled. We became friends, and then he moved to Ohio, and we would train all summer, and we would train even like the summer before we wrestled here, and the summer after, like we wrestled with each other. It was great. It was great to obviously just be able to work out with somebody that was super tough, and we made each other a lot better, so that was fun. And kind of ironic because David lost. He lost another match. But if he wouldn't have lost the other match, Jamie Clark, we both would have lost in our first tournament of our high school careers, and that's it. At the Ironman. So this is funny.
And that was what
so David lost his first tournament. It was a week before the Ironman. But yeah.
Go ahead, Frank.
It would have been interesting stat if we both lost in our first tournament of our high school careers, and that's it. But
Logan, what was it like wrestling at the Ironman for the first time? Walking into that wrestling, that whole experience.
Yeah, it was awesome, but it was probably my 8th time because I grew up my whole life. My dad would take me. It was my favorite tournament of the year. So it wasn't really like I wasn't stressed at all. It wasn't like a oh my gosh moment or anything like that. I was so excited to wrestle in it because I watched all my wrestling heroes wrestle in it my whole life. I still remember to this day, big time matches that happened, and like just being in the arena. Like I thought it was so cool as a little kid. I mean, I loved wrestling. Me and my dad would get the brackets, and we'd watch all these stars wrestle. And it was just awesome. I knew everybody. I knew all the animals. When someone would get a big win, I would be telling my friends like, "Oh my gosh, Jagger's tech fault, the Blair kid," and I had no idea who I'm talking about. but but I was like, yeah, like it was just so it was awesome to wrestle in it. But I mean, it was probably more fun, when I was 12 years old as a fan, looking up at all these guys, watching them wrestle.
And that was your first loss and only loss in high school, but that was right out the bat freshman year, right? So
yeah, funny enough. Sorry to cut you off there. So I lost, obviously, first loss in my high school career, first tournament, and I remember coming back to school, and there was some guys in the team, and so we brought our whole team there, because that was kind of the deal. Like, our team probably won't be that competitive, but we're gonna bring the whole team. And we might have had one other guy win a match, but maybe not. But I remember one of the older kids on the team was like, "Hey, like high school is a little bit different than middle school," and I knew at the time that was after the Fila Cadet, so I knew that was pretty good. So I just kind of laughed to myself. I was like, "Oh yeah," I'm like, but I knew that was pretty good. So I knew that it wasn't like a bad loss or anything. Obviously I knew David and everything, so it was just funny to hear it from somebody else. I was I'm like, that's good for me a little bit, bring me down a little bit.
Everyone needs to be humbled. Well, one thing I know we covered in our series, which was kind of a running theme, and we'd talk about the losses and the big losses on the mat, but there's big losses off the mat as well. And our team went through it when I was growing up at St. Ed's. We had a lot of deaths of teammates. I know Frank's team at Walsh had a lot of deaths growing up with parents. But when you got to Ohio State, you guys you were rebuilding the dynasty, but you also went through a loss. You had a teammate that had died, and it affected you guys right off the bat, before the season even started. You dealt with a lot of loss and dedicating the season. Talk to us about what that was like to have to deal with losses off the mat that had nothing to do really with wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, Costa was our brother, so that was really tough for all of us. He's on the football team too, and he might have got some playing time. I don't even know if he had any playing time in football, but I mean, everybody on the team was heartbroken by him. And I think it just shows who he is. It's a walk on that maybe played 5 minutes, and everybody was heartbroken. That's just the type of guy he was. And obviously on our team, we were devastated. He was just our guy. Like, he wrestled a bunch of matches. He was tough. He wrestled at we actually have an award named after him, Costa Care George, Battling Buckeye, and it's an award given to a non-starter that competes at every the most open tournaments and works the hardest in the room. And it's an honor to him. It's honor to him because it's just who he was. I mean, just a hard worker, and he wasn't a starter, but he if we needed him, he would go, and he always was wrestling. So it was really tough. It was really tough for us, and he was our guy. So I was happy that we were able to honor him with the award, honor him with the pass runner singlets, and it's still think about him a lot. So it was tough, and a lot of teams go through it. So I think it's just it's good to talk to people about the hard stuff like that, and not use it as motivation, but use it as love, like love in your heart. As the motivation will kind of always end, but you kind of keep the love in your heart, which is what our team did, and I think it helped us a lot.
Yeah, we had a guy actually, one of the deaths that didn't make it into our series. He was a teammate of mine, but it happened in the summertime. He was a Greek guy as well, Gus Siakanteris. But just dealing with all that off the mat stuff, And then also your brother too was injured that year, right? And so you were just dealing with a lot. How did you, make it through that season?
Yeah.
And still come out on top?
Yeah. Well, yeah. My brother, he the year, or yeah, that year, he had double UCL tears, and he just, he didn't have much use of his arms. They were pretty bad tears. And we're probably 5 years behind on some different treatments that maybe we could have did to kind of help it. But it was tough to watch him wrestle and not be really that good, or not as good as he was, because he was hurting. Because not only did his arms hurt, but he was 5%, 10% of what his real ability was. So the Big Tens was pretty cool. It was at Ohio State. He won some big matches and qualified, and we need as wild. So he qualified, and then he made the semis. He forfeited in the semis as he was going to be done with the tournament. Tried to just heal up for nationals, and we were running the numbers, and it was like, man, we're going to be really close with Iowa. We might need him to win, and we needed to win another match. And so I remember I was in the back, and they're calling his name, and Coach Ryan was like, "What do you think?" And he was like, "I'll go." And I remember he ran out to the mat. He just ran out from the back with just a singlet on. His shoes were, he had no socks on. Yeah, that's what it was. He had no socks on. The crowd went nuts, and he was in a back and forth match with a guy who was all right. This isn't consi semis. And it was like, and then he tried a shot, head up, got headlocked, and then the crowd was mad at they're mad at us because he was in a bad spot. So it was like, why would you put him out there? But we ended up tying Iowa, and obviously every point, even half point mattered, and obviously so Hunter wanted to do it for the team, because it was really, really, important. And he had already qualified, but it was like, it was obviously who he was and what he wanted to do. And then he wrestled at nationals, and he just wasn't what he was. But I was really proud of him just to wrestle and to qualify. I mean, it's it's pretty tough sometimes to qualify. So it's just and to be in the semis of the Big Ten, and we take it for granted because we win the Big Tens, or everyone places the Big Tens. It's pretty hard actually. So sometimes you take it for granted. But it was hard, but I've done a pretty good job my whole life with being pretty stoic and not letting, when he would wrestle, I would, in my mind, if someone came from the stands and hit him with a bat, I would be focused on my match. It's just kind of crazy because I probably would go nuts if that happened. But in my mind, I was like, whatever happens out there, I still have to do my job. I still have to wrestle my match. So I was always pretty stoic with that. And I usually didn't cheer too much, especially in a dual meet. If he was wrestling, or I guess in a dual meet, I was rooting for him. But in tournaments, I usually didn't go nuts or anything when he was wrestling because I knew I was coming up later round or anything like that. I just watch, and he was really good, so I usually won. So I didn't have to worry too much about the losses.
Logan, I heard you say on a prior interview that him making the semifinals at those Big Tens was one of the greatest moments in your career.
Yeah, it was.
Seeing him accomplish that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was just, it was insane. I mean, because he just wasn't. He just couldn't do much. He couldn't do much with his wrestling, and he couldn't pull the leg in that well. So I didn't really know. I didn't know how he could win. I was having a hard time seeing how he could actually win matches. So he had a first round match where he took the guy down a couple times, easy takedowns. He had if you watch his matches, he had a really insane ability to score takedowns and using it looks like little to no effort, which is wild to say, but it looked like he could score takedowns with little to no effort. So his first match, he just scored 2 or 3 takedowns, no effort, probably won 7-5, kind of hung on at the end probably. And then he had a Penn State kid, and they were just, he took him down. He was winning. He got taken down late, and then he did a crazy Grammy roll to reverse him and write him out, and it was nuts. It was the crowd. It was at Ohio State too, which is crazy. My dad was crying. I'm like, I've never seen you cry in your life. It was hilarious. So it was cool. I was pumped up. and again, it was, it was twofold because I was obviously a really proud brother, but we knew for the team race, like it was just like it was so important, like for him to make the semis. If he doesn't make the semis, we don't tie for first. We don't win the Big Ten championships. So it's really it was really cool.
To follow up on that also, because you talked about taking things for granted, right? Like getting on the podium and do, how hard that really is to be able to do, and all your success, throughout your career. Is there anything that maybe you took for granted that looking at today, you're like, wow, I wish I could have been even a little bit more in the moment?
Wrestling has probably all sports. I just know wrestling, but it has a culture of like what's next. And at the end of my career, my freestyle career, I started to really like enjoy things more. But there's a big what's next. I wish I would have like enjoyed some like things more. Like I really like, I enjoyed some big things, but enjoy some of the moments more where you make a world team, or you win a big match, and kind of like, I wish I enjoyed that more. Not really like enjoyed it like celebrating, but just more like just being proud of myself more, because again, it's just a what's next. So it's like, yeah, you win the NCAA championships. Well, okay, well, US Open's in a month. So now it's like, okay, now we're getting ready for US Open. Like, where it's like, well, dude, like we just like won the national championship. That's awesome. And obviously I was really proud of that, but there's just other little moments where you're like, yeah, like this is really cool. Like it doesn't have to be like, I can be proud and happy and enjoy the moment, and also be super intense and want to win just as bad. Like I can be both. I don't have to be like crazy intense and okay, I win my match. Okay, what's next? Okay, So that, and honestly, like I said, I can't change this, but like, I get real tired now when we wrestle hard. I take for granted how good a shape I was in. Sometimes I'm like, I cannot believe I used to be able to wrestle this hard for that long. Like I watched Jesse, I wrestle with Mendez, and I watched him wrestle, and I'm like, I cannot believe I used to be able to do that. This guy's an animal. It's like, wow.
Are you still rolling around with the team? Are you like, what is your role between it's you and Bo and
Jay, and then Tom's the head coach? Yeah.
So what's your role in that team?
I guess we all kind of have the same with wrestling roles. I would say me, Jay, and Tom run the practices for the most part, but like we'll all wrestle still. Even Tom he's starting to get back on the mat after his accident and everything. So yeah, I still wrestle a lot. As you get into the 41s, our team's so tough now. It's like everyone's even wrestle some of these like wrestling 25s. Like usually, I'll be good with 25s for a while, but man, some of these guys they got some stuff, and Jesse is it's just a different breed, and it's just yeah. It is good. When the 3-minute goes, I like that. Like 10-minute goes is tough. Like give me the 3-minute goes and not take one off. But the 10-minute goes are that's something different. That's when I start like questioning, like why did I let myself get out of shape?
Doing it now. Like you said, now you're enjoying it. You put in the work, and now's the time where you can kind of sit back and enjoy it a little bit.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Before we let you go, we do a segment on here that Aaron kind of runs. We call it Fact or Fiction.
Tom Ryan once bet the entire team that you wouldn't hit a certain move in a duel, and you hit it just to win the bet.
I don't know. I think fiction. I don't know, but maybe it's true.
Okay, all right. We heard that you did.
Probably. Oh, that's probably true, but I got a bad memory, so maybe.
All right, next one. Your most painful loss wasn't even on the mat. it was the time your little brother Hunter beat you in video games and trash talked you for a week.
That's definitely fiction because he was better at video games than me, but I wouldn't play his video game. So if we played a video game, it would be a sports game and I would win. He played World of Warcraft and I wouldn't play that.
Nice. And we got one more. We do this all the time, Logan. It's super subjective for everybody, but we always want to know, who's on your Mount Rushmore of wrestling?
Oh, that's a good question. That would have been nice to have in the pre-podcast notes. Now my because it's my list.
Yeah,
I can make it easy. So we'll go Eric Burnett, Jay Jaggers, Jordan Burroughs, and Tommy Rollins.
That's a great list. That's awesome.
Strong. Yeah, those are to me, as because different people that helped me and just people that maybe I looked up to and it's my list, right? So
it's your list, and that's the great thing about it. It's your yeah.
Shane Sparks has 5 on his list.
Yeah, and it's his list, so he can do what he wants with it, right?
Yeah.
What? So first of all, congratulations on winning national duels. That was a great turnout, and you guys did a fantastic job. I think it's great to have that brought back.
It was awesome. That man, I mean, obviously there was there were a little bit of fans there. I think the broadcast did good. But it was an awesome event. I mean, having cool and exciting duel matches is just. I mean, Coach Ryan has been saying it forever. People are probably annoyed how much he's been saying it, but when you saw the product of what happened, it was just like, wow, this is awesome. Like, it was
I had it on ESPN Quad Split, so I saw 4 at the same time, and it was
really great event.
It was hard to keep up.
Everyone wrestled all their good guys for the most part. So it was great, yeah.
And what's next for Logan? You were inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing. Talk about that. Talk about what that was like to be. I mean, did you ever imagine that you would make it into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame?
No, I think when you're wrestling, when you're in it, you don't think of what awards you're gonna win. I think if you do, then you're probably like maybe you're overthinking it or like looking too far ahead. You're kind of just you're just trying to win because you love wrestling, and that was always my life. And so it was a great honor, a really great honor. It was really fun to have you and your family there. I know your brother really well, and obviously I know your dad super well. So it was a great weekend. It was a great honor. These type of honors are, to me, because I had so many people that helped me. I feel like it's a lot to me, but it's a lot to the other people as well. It's the Eric Burnett, my parents. Oh my gosh, like the stuff my parents you can't I have a 3-minute speech, but it's 3 minutes. I could talk for 300 hours, and it's not enough thanks to my parents and my coaches. And so it was really great to be able to be up there and share the moment with my family and my wife. And it was just, it was awesome. So what's next? I'm coaching at Ohio State and trying to keep getting these guys better. We had a dual meet last night against Bellarmine that went well. We have NC State next Friday. And we just keep trying to get better, and we're trying to build on our success early in the season, and just trying to improve. We have a great team this year. It's just a really fun team. So looking forward to. I guess we're only a month in, so a few more months of the season. So we're looking forward to it.
And Logan, I got one last question.
Yep.
You've been through. I mean, you've done it all, right? And you talked a lot about your youth and high school and all the different coaches and your parents and the experiences and those coaches keeping your dad at bay and and now as a coach, you're in that position. And you talked about, going to the Ironman and those kids looking up to those wrestlers and looking up to you, right? If I was to give you a camera and say, record a message for the 10-year-old kid who will one day become the next Logan Stieber, what would you tell him that maybe you've never told anybody or mentioned in an interview before?
I would just say always remember who's helped you. I think if you just keep remembering like the people that help you, it'll keep you grounded. If you think it's all you, then I don't know. But just always remember the people that have helped you, and I think you'll be all right.
That's awesome. Just giving that awareness and that appreciation and that gratitude, and being grateful for those individuals.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a hard sport, lots of wins and losses, and so you keep remembering who helped you, and then they'll keep helping you, right? If someone helps you and then you stiff on them once you get a little bit better than maybe they're coaching, which you probably aren't, but you think you're better than their coaching, you stiff on them for the next guy, that's when things go wrong. So I'd say yes, just if you can keep doing that, man, you're gonna be all right.
That's great. Thank you. I knew it's a tough question.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. It's good stuff. Really fun. I got to see, actually, I was going to mention it right away. I kind of saw it on the clip, but got to see Walsh legend Joe Heskett last night before the dual meet. So that was fun.
Oh, good.
Cool, yeah.
Awesome.
So I got to see him, and I just wanted to mention that I saw him on the pre podcast. Saw the clip of him wrestling. So that was cool.
Joe's great. Joe's awesome. Well, thank you for coming on, Logan. We can't thank you enough. Go Bucks. Keep doing a great job. Is there anything you want to plug? Any last words before you go?
No, just love the Buckeyes. So you guys are in Ohio. Come catch a match. We have a fun, exciting team that's trying to score a lot of points. Our dual meets are going to be really fun this year. We have five more home ones left, so NC State, and then 4 Big Ten ones. So it's gonna be exciting, and really looking forward to the rest of the season. So thanks, guys.
We'll be down soon. Thanks, Logan.
Good luck, buddy.
Thanks.
All the best. Later.
Logan Stieber for everything.
One of the best. The GOAT.
Four-time everything. Well, apparently he wasn't a 3-time Ironman champion. He was only a 2-time Ironman champion. I was wrong on that. I need to check my stats next time. Yeah, man. He's leading the future. If anyone's going to take down Penn State, Ohio State is nipping at its bud. We didn't really get into trying to take down the giant, right? But there were a few things that he mentioned that I thought was very poignant. Were when he started the dynasty in Monroeville. It was about brothers. It was about guys that had come up together, stayed together, and they made a pact to, hey, we're going to go in and we're going to do what we need to do to create a dynasty. And he did it while they were there, and then he tried to do it at Ohio State, and they broke through the lines against Penn State. And so now he's doing it as a coach. So he's just continuing to do what he always does.
Yeah, great guy. The sky's the limit for him and for Ohio State. It was great to hear him talk about his experiences and those the Ohio Dogs.
Beaver Dogs. Yeah.
Beaver Dogs. Yeah. That was great.
What a grounded guy, to have that much success, right? And to be able to put your youth coach on your Mount Rushmore, right? How awesome was that? I thought that was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And his youth wrestler coach has the accolades,
Yes, he does. Of course.
But yeah, I mean, very humble, and just a great guy all around. I think he's just feeding into the dynasty of the coaches at Ohio State, right? They've got a good feeder system going in there. So, when Tom Ryan needs a break, they got a bunch of guys that can step in and really keep that team going. And we didn't even get into the St. Ed's guys he's got now with Luke Geog and Patty Gallagher, so continuing the tradition of feeding into that system. So great all around, guys. It was good seeing you. Anything else you'd like to add before we jump off?
No, that was great. That was awesome. On to as Logan said, on to the next one.
What's next?
Yeah, what's next?
Always asking what's next. Well, that was another episode of the Dynasty Effect. Thank you for tuning in. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. And please make sure you share with a friend, follow all of our social medias. And if you need to find anything else out about the series, you can always find us at www.clashofdynasties.com. Thank you, guys. We'll see you again on another episode. All the best.
The story needs to be told just for the fact that it was a great time for high school sports. It really was.
You got the bad boys here and you got the good guys here. And then they went at it for 10 years.
It was a strong narrative with a good arc to it. And I think people could see that it wasn't going to be replicated anytime soon.
Look back on it.
Like you're doing a podcast on it right now.
Like that's how big it was, and that's what I wanted to be a part of.
At the end of the day, it was trying to help kids become their best selves at a really high level. And so from that stance, it's a story that's very American.
I think that's a good way to explain it.